If you were to find yourself in an Uber, attempting to sneak into Spanish high society in Pedralbes, your driver may give you a bit of a surprise. "No tourists here," he might insist, despite your reservation at a small boutique hotel tucked into Barcelona's most forbidden postal code. You see, his reluctance stems from crossing an invisible barrier that has protected Spain's most exclusive enclave for generations. What appears on maps as just another Barcelona neighborhood functions in reality as a sovereign state of privilege, complete with its own unwritten constitution governing who belongs and who remains forever on the outside looking in. The streets here house more than the wealthy. They shelter an ecosystem of power that has weathered civil wars, dictatorships, democracy and economic crises without ever relinquishing its grip on Barcelona's most breathtaking views. In today's episode of Sir Luxury Travel, we take you behind the gates of Barcelona's most secretive neighborhood, where even having money isn't enough to guarantee entry into a world that has perfected the art of elegant exclusion. Welcome to Pedralbes, where Barcelona's elite hide from the unwashed masses behind manicured hedges and security systems that could give Fort Knox an inferiority complex. The name itself is a historical humble brag. Pedralbes comes from Old Catalan for white stones, which is fitting for a neighborhood that's essentially a monument to old money and even older social hierarchies. This exclusive enclave perched in the Lecor district began life as a monastic retreat before the wealthy decided that spiritual tranquility pairs wonderfully with astronomical property values. Originally part of Sarria, Pedralbes underwent its transformation into a billionaire's playground starting in the 1940s, when Barcelona's industrial nouveau riche needed somewhere to escape the smog their factories produced down by the coast. The area's elevated position on the gentle slopes of Cola Mountains served both aesthetic and practical purposes. It literally gave residents the ability to look down on the rest of Barcelona while breathing significantly cleaner air than the working classes below. Family, yes, the same obscenely wealthy industrialists who bankrolled Gaudi's architectural fever dreams, promoted the area as a garden city for the upper bourgeoisie, a concept that was only partially realized but set the stage for what would become Spain's most exclusive postal code. A stroll through these tree-lined avenues feels like wandering through a neighborhood with a collective net worth greater than the GDP of several small European nations combined. The transformation was complete by the 1970s, with urbanization turning what had been rural estates into an architectural case of conspicuous consumption, where homes stand as thinly veiled financial flex statements rather than mere living space. What makes Pedralbes truly special goes beyond its wealth. Barcelona has plenty of rich neighborhoods. It offers a peculiar blend of old-world isolation and modern exclusivity that creates a bubble so rarefied you practically need an oxygen mask and a letter of recommendation just to visit. With a population of around 12,000 fortunate souls spread over a remarkably low density of 4,400 per square kilometer, residents enjoy the luxury of space, a commodity more precious than gold in crowded Barcelona. The area's former royal connections, it housed the Spanish royal family during their Barcelona visits between 1919 and 1931, add that essential patina of historical legitimacy that new money desperately craves and rarely achieves. Perhaps what's most ironic about Pedralbes is how a neighborhood named after a monastery has become the ultimate symbol of worldly success, where the original vows of poverty have been replaced by displays of wealth that would make even the most jaded investment banker blush. But don't be fooled by the tranquil facade of this pampered paradise. Behind those perfectly maintained gates lies a world of social competition and status anxiety that would make survival in the wild seem straightforward by comparison. And if you think the houses are impressive, wait until you see what these residents pay for the privilege of a Pedralbes address, as that might make you wonder if real estate here is priced by the square millimeter rather than the square meter. When it comes to Pedralbes real estate, we're talking about prices that make even seasoned luxury realtors develop a nervous twitch. The average property here will set you back approximately €4,721,000, a figure that might cause cardiac arrest in mere mortals, but barely raises an eyebrow among the neighborhood's ultra-wealthy residents. Properties in this rarefied enclave fall broadly into two categories: magnificent detached villas with gardens that could host small music festivals, and high-end apartment complexes where each unit might occupy an entire floor. Along the legendary Avinguda de Pearson and Avinguda de Pedralbes, the neighborhood's premier addresses, hosts feature manicured gardens, infinity pools with Mediterranean views, and security systems that would impress James Bond's Q branch. The housing stock includes both historic mansions with architectural pedigrees and contemporary luxury developments where glass walls and minimalist aesthetics allow residents to display their wealth with appropriately Scandinavian restraint. Many of these palatial residences include separate quarters for staff, because nothing says "I've made it" quite like having someone else dust your collection of limited edition Hermes scarves. In Pedralbes, gardens function as meticulously curated personal parks where landscape architects command fees that could fund small art museums. The average price per square meter hovers around €9,918, a number that has shown remarkable resilience during economic fluctuations, because, let's face it, the ultra-wealthy tend to remain ultra-wealthy regardless of what the economy is doing. The most prestigious properties often feature panoramic views over Barcelona and the Mediterranean Sea, allowing residents to literally look down upon the city while sipping Dom Perignon on their terraces. What's particularly amusing about Pedralbes real estate? Properties serve as prestige investments and status symbols, architectural peacocking for the 1%. The neighborhood's exclusivity comes further enhanced by its proximity to the Collserola mountain range, which creates a natural boundary preventing overdevelopment and ensuring that supply remains deliciously limited. Service quarters, wine cellars, and home cinemas qualify as basic necessities, while heated indoor pools and private gyms constitute standard features rather than luxurious addition. Properties often come with underground parking for multiple vehicles, because nothing ruins curb appeal quite like a fleet of Lamborghinis cluttering up the driveway. The interior design of these homes typically reflects either old-world opulence with antiques and oil paintings, or sleek contemporary minimalism with art collections worth more than most people's lifetime earnings. Many buildings include concierge services that can arrange everything from private jet bookings to securing tables at restaurants with 3-year waiting lists. For those who can't quite stretch to the 8-figure price tags of standalone mansions, luxury apartments start at a mere few million euros, practically a bargain by Pedralbes standards. What's truly remarkable is that despite the astronomical prices, properties here rarely linger on the market. They're typically snapped up through private sales before they're even publicly listed, often through networks so exclusive they make Freemasons look like an open Facebook group. But if you think the real estate is impressive, just wait until you discover the lifestyle these privileged few enjoy behind those imposing gates. Because in Pedralbes, the address serves merely as your entry ticket to a world few will ever experience. The Pedralbes lifestyle focuses on embracing a carefully curated existence that makes the rest of Barcelona seem positively plebeian by comparison. Morning in this privileged enclave might begin with a private tennis lesson at the Real Club de Tenis Barcelona, where membership hinges less on athletic ability and more on who your grandparents socialized with. The neighborhood's tranquil, almost suburban character creates an atmosphere of peaceful isolation that feels miles away from the tourist hordes cramming La Rambla, which is precisely the point. For the children of Pedralbes, education centers on establishing the social connections that will sustain them through lives of inherited privilege at institutions like St. Paul's School, St. Peter's School, and Kensington School. Afternoons might be spent at the Royal Club de Polo, where 9,000 members perfect their equestrian skills while simultaneously negotiating business deals over gin and tonics, served by staff who know better than to make eye contact. The shopping experience here differs completely from the ordinary retail therapy enjoyed by the masses. Residents have easy access to El Corte Inglés department store and Lila Diagonal shopping complex, where personal shoppers ensure they never have to browse alongside tourists. Dining in Pedralbes exemplifies exclusivity, with restaurants like El Hedges offering garden settings for power lunches and El Mirador de la Ventana providing spectacular view alongside astronomical wine lists. Healthcare too reflects this refinement, with leading private hospitals like Hospital Teknon and Hospital Corachan offering multilingual services and private suites that resemble five-star hotels rather than medical facilities. The neighborhood's exceptional safety record stems from private security firms, vigilant doormen, and the simple fact that crime is considerably less appealing when your potential victims have connections to every judge in Catalonia. Weekend recreation often involves a stroll through Parc de Cervantes, where 10,000 rose bushes representing more than 245 species create a fragrant backdrop for discussing which family member might be featured next in Hola magazine. Cultural enrichment comes courtesy of the Jardin de Pedralbes Music Festival, where wealthy residents can enjoy classical performances in the Gaudi-designed gardens of the Royal Palace without mingling with the general public. For the spiritually inclined, the 14th century monastery of Pedralbes offers a convenient reminder of humility and asceticism, concepts that can be contemplated briefly before returning to mansions larger than the entire monastic living quarters. The transportation preferences in Pedralbes reveal much about its character. While public transport options exist, most residents prefer to travel in chauffeur-driven luxury vehicles, with windows tinted to prevent recognition by adoring fans or potential kidnappers. Despite being just 10 minutes from central Barcelona by car, Pedralbes exists in its own carefully maintained bubble, a parallel universe where streets are cleaner, trees are greener, and bank accounts are significantly larger. The neighborhood's exceptional quality of life thrives thanks to an invisible army of gardeners, housekeepers, nannies, and personal assistants who commute daily from less privileged areas to keep this paradise functioning smooth. Proximity to the Serra de Ca Natural Park provides residents with immediate access to 8,000 hectares of Mediterranean wilderness, perfect for morning hikes before brunch at the David Lloyd Center. But the true essence of Pedralbes living resides in the intangible sense of belonging to a world so exclusive that most Barcelona residents will live their entire lives without setting foot inside its hallowed boundaries. And while the lifestyle here might seem perfect, wait until you discover who your neighbors might be. Because in Pedralbes, fame and historic significance are simply part of the local ambience. The roster of Pedralbes residents reads like a bizarre mashup of European royalty, sports celebrities, and the kind of old money families whose wealth is so established they consider talking about it to be deeply vulgar. Infanta Cristina of Spain, yes, actual royalty, called this neighborhood home from 2004 to 2013, lending an air of blue-blooded legitimacy to an area already drowning in privilege. Brazilian football phenomenon Neymar rented a Pedralbes mansion during his FC Barcelona days, presumably enjoying the privacy it afforded when he wasn't busy falling dramatically on soccer pitches across Europe. The neighborhood's celebrity credentials were further than global superstar Shakira and her then-partner Gerard Piqué established their family compound here. Hips don't lie, and neither do property values in this postcode. The American consulate, established in 1797, adds diplomatic gravitas to the area, ensuring that even governments maintain a prestigious Pedralbes address. For historical significance, few structures can compete with the monastery of Pedralbes, founded in 1327 by Queen Elisenda de Montcada, as both a religious institution and a convenient way to ensure her soul's salvation after enjoying a life of medieval luxury. The monastery's Gothic architecture and spectacular cloister, reportedly the largest in the world, provide a stark contrast to the contemporary opulence surrounding it, like a medieval nun accidentally wandering into a Bentley dealership. Queen Elisenda's tomb inside the monastery features a clever bit of medieval brand management. One side depicts her as a humble, pious widow facing the cloister, while the other presents her in full royal regalia facing the church, an early example of work-life balance. The royal palace of Pedralbes, initially a 17th century farmhouse transformed into a residence fit for monarchy, showcases gardens designed by none other than Antoni Gaudi, who presumably restrained his more fantastical impulses when working for the crown. Gaudi's contribution to the palace gardens includes a parabolic pergola draped in climbing plants, and the Hercules fountain featuring a wrought iron dragon's head, because even royal gardens benefit from a touch of Catalan surrealism. Today, the palace houses the Ceramic Museum, the Textile and Clothing Museum, and serves as the permanent headquarters for the Union for the Mediterranean. Because when you've hosted kings, the only appropriate second act is international diplomacy. The Gaudi estate, another Gaudi-touched property, represents yet another landmark connection between obscene wealth and architectural genius that seems to define so much of Barcelona's cultural landscape. Parc de Sevilla offers a more accessible form of luxury with its internationally renowned rose garden, featuring over 10,000 bushes and hosting the International New Rose Contest, essentially a beauty pageant for flowers with better fragrances and fewer scandals than their human counterparts. The monastery's stained glass windows, original 14th century creations, have survived centuries of warfare, political upheaval, and architectural trends, much like the neighborhood's social hierarchy. Urban legends persist about ghost sightings in the monastery cloister, with guards reporting the sounds of chanting nuns and rustling robes. Apparently, even in the afterlife, Pedralbes residents maintain their exclusivity. Below the University of Barcelona's Pedralbes campus lie abandoned bomb shelters from the Civil War, a rare reminder that even this privileged enclave remained susceptible to Spain's turbulent history. For the truly curious visitor, rumors abound about a members-only speakeasy hidden behind an unmarked door near the monastery, where the password is reportedly Pedralbes, though attempting to enter without the right connections might result in polite but firm redirection. Most tourists never discover these secrets, sticking instead to downtown Gaudi landmarks and missing Pedralbes entirely, which is exactly how residents prefer it, maintaining their sanctuary of privilege away from the prying eyes of Instagram influencers and tour groups. Because ultimately, that's the most valuable currency in Pedralbes, not the multi-million euro properties or the luxury cars, but the simple, profound luxury of privacy in a world where even average homes appear on Google Street View. While most visitors to Barcelona will never experience this rarefied world of diplomatic compounds, royal gardens, and celebrity compounds, its very existence adds another fascinating layer to a city where extreme wealth and architectural brilliance have always enjoyed a particularly Spanish romance. With that said, we'd love to see you in the comments. Have you ever visited or stayed in an ultra-exclusive neighborhood during your travels? And what was the experience like? Thank you for watching another episode of Sir Luxury Travel. We'll see you on the next one.